Oh, I'm excited about the word God placed in my heart. I want to share it with you. It's pertaining to Jericho. You see, around Jericho there was walls, and no one could come out, and no one could enter. So God had a plan on how the walls of Jericho would come down, which were to march around the walls once a day, but on the seventh day, they were to march around the walls 7 times. According to Joshua 6 verse 10, there was another piece of information that I think is very necessary. And that was, when they were told to march around the walls once a day, there was a piece of instruction which was, don't let one word come out of your mouth. Isn't that interesting? Don't let one word come out of your mouth as you're marching around the wall. Wonder why that piece of advice was given. Listen to this possibility. As the children of Israel were marching around the walls of Jericho, don't you know they would see up close how high the walls were? Don't you know they would see up close how thick the walls were? What a temptation to think, wow, these walls are tall. Wow, these walls are thick. I don't know if these walls are going to come down or not. These walls are strong, but they were not permitted to talk. You see, when you cannot be positive, it's better to remain silent. Oh, that was a God word. When it's hard to be positive, it's better to be silent. And that's what God gave the instructions for the children of Israel, to not allow to be any kind of negative talk. For death and life is in the power of the tongue. What about in the book of Numbers, the 11th chapter and the 1st verse? There are 5 wilderness attitudes, and one of them is talked about right here in Numbers 11 verse 1. Listen to it. Now when the people complained, it displeased the Lord, for the Lord heard it. Isn't that a sobering thought? When you complain, not only does the person you're talking to, not only do they hear it, but more importantly, the Lord hears it. Yeah, I've come by today to tell you that praise is actually the activity of the battle. No. Praise is not just celebration of a victory. Praise is actually the activity of the battle. Now why? Back in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 33 and verse 7, whenever Moses was giving his final blessing upon Israel, he made this declaration, "O God, hear the voice of Judah." Oh, that's good. Do you know why that's good? Because Judah means praise. In other words, Moses was pronouncing a blessing on Israel. God, you listen to the voice of praise. That's exactly what he was saying. And that's exactly what God has placed on my heart today. God hears praise. He also hears complaints. And that displeases the Lord. In the book of Malachi, the last book of the Old Testament, chapter 2, verse 17, the scriptures tell us, "Oh, your words have wearied the Lord." And they asked, "How has our words wearied the Lord?" And do you know what the answer was? While they were talking in their house, God listened and heard all of those complaints. And those words wearied the Lord. I have come by today to tell you, watch your words. When it's hard to be positive, just remain silent. And don't forget, Satan cannot discern your thoughts. He can only use your words. That's important. When you don't feel positive, remain silent. Because if you speak when you have a negative spirit inside of you, Satan can use those words, and Satan can weave a web which can cause you to be confined. I've come by today to tell you, praise and be raised, or complain and remain.